Hey there everyone, it's Jaycee. Welcome back to another perfect pairing. Adding a touch of glam to your cards is as easy as adding a little bit of shimmer and shine. In this video, I'll share 3 tips on adding the right amount of luxurious accents to your cards. Before we get into today's project, make sure you subscribe to the Altenew channel for more card making and paper crafting tutorials. My Perfect Pairings with Jaycee series explores crafting techniques that effortlessly blend sure-to-love new releases and well-loved Altenew favorites. If you love these kinds of crafty tutorials, hit the bell icon so you'll be notified of my videos airing on the 2nd and 4th Sunday. This card focuses on the lovely Floral Hat Die Set. This die set makes a focal floral and hat bundle just in time for spring. I love that this motif can be used for Mother's Day, birthdays, many of the springtime occasions. It has such a timeless look and feel. Before getting into this die set, I'll share the inspiration for this card. I got stuck on a Tiffany blue or Pantone 1837 blue palette. I thought this palette was a great way to talk about adding the right amount of shine for that luxurious impression. So to start, I thought that this cardstock in my stash was pretty close in hue, similar to Pool from the Deco Garden Fresh Dye Ink collection. This will act as my base and background for all the focal and shiny elements on top, kind of like the contents of what's inside a Tiffany's box. Working from background to foreground, I have this scrap panel of vellum in my stash, and I'll use this to add an ornate secondary background, like tissue paper. For this, I'll use Rustic Rose stamp set. The die set will come in later, so you'll need both to replicate this card. I'm gold heat embossing this baby's breath image twice onto the vellum. What I want to do is create enough of a heat embossed background to die cut with. I'll use one of the dies from the Ornate Nesting Die Set to act as my delicate embellishment to this card. Heat embossing by design is not a reflective mirror shine. I can use this textural difference to my advantage by still anchoring my focal floral hat and framing the main elements of this card. I'll set this background piece to the side and work on the focal images to this card. Now let's talk about the lovely Floral Hat Die Set and how I want to incorporate other gold or metallic elements. First, I die cut the hat layers with the arrow alignment guide from a cream colored cardstock. I cut the large floral keyhole alignment images from a cardstock similar in color to Frosty Pink. For the smaller flower, I cut the smaller center image from the same Frosty Pink colored cardstock, and the larger petal grouping from the same cream-colored cardstock. In my stash, I had this deep evergreen colored cardstock. This is what I die cut the foliage elements from. Then finally, for the shiny elements, I cut the hat ribbon and flower center layers from brushed gold metallic cardstock. Again, I'm incorporating mixtures of shiny texture, and I prefer a matte or brushed gold because it doesn't take away too much attention from the focal images. To unite the palette of this large brim hat to the flowers, I used a little bit of the Frosty Pink Fresh Dye ink and a mini ink blending brush to add the shadows of the hat. So I'm adding a touch of the pink to the inside of the hat on the first layer, then to the edges that curve away from you on the second layer, then finally to the rounded areas that would be away from the viewer. I'm just trying to add discrete 3D shadows and add more texture to this card. I think it's important to balance metallic elements with flat contrast, which is why I'm trying to incorporate some amount of detail to the hat. I'll set this aside and work on the flowers. Now for the blooms, I want them to have a little bit of satin shine as well. To do this, I'm using the metallic watercolor pan set in gold pearl. I'm picking metallic finishes that are roughly in the same gold color palette to the embossing and other metallic cardstocks, which I'll show later. I wanted to add a touch of golden glow to the center of the flowers. To do this, I suspended the watercolor in just enough water to pick up with my finger. I used a brush to get enough pigment to the center of the flower. Then I'll create a gradient to catch the high points of the embossed die-cut cardstock. I did this to all 5 of the petal layers I die-cut from earlier. Assembling the die cuts is so easy with the innovative registration symbols. All I have to do is assemble the dies in numerical order and align the arrows. Then I can add the brushed gold band to hide the arrow hole. Here are my other die cut assembled elements. I did the same thing with the larger flowers, except I aligned the keyhole registration marks. I wanted to add ribbon tails to this final grouping, so I die cut a second brushed gold cardstock. I cut small triangles from each side of the die. Then cut the die roughly in half to get these ribbon tails. I assembled and foam mounted my floral elements, the foliage, and the ribbon tails. Again, with the foliage, I feel it's important to oppose shiny elements with flat or matte textures. This way you give the metallic areas an area to shine. That finishes this largest focal group on my card using the lovely Floral Hat Die Set. Now let's assemble and embellish this card. Here is my Tiffany blue inspired background again. Before I add any of the other elements to this card, I want to add some metallic splatter, which should come as no surprise to you. I used the same gold pearl metallic watercolor from earlier. I think it's important to spread the shine across the whole card while adding areas of focus like the floral hat. Personally, as a general rule, I try not to surpass 10% of my overall card color palette when incorporating metallic elements, because shine will immediately draw your eyes and catch your attention. The same is true with glitter cardstock especially. I use this Mix and Match Mariposa and Gilded glitter cardstock set to really capture the attention of the sentiment. I love sentiments and coordinating dies that cut the offset shadow. I like to white heat emboss the sentiment onto foiled cardstock for an easy way to make the sentiment stand out. So I paired the glitter butterfly with the sentiment and brought that to the very front of this elegant floral scene. I added a few satin gold sequins to finish this card. Try mixing textures of shine, and I hope that these tips help you out on your next card making project. My series encourages you to shop your existing Altenew stash and rekindle their love with newer releases. Perfect Pairings with Jaycee airs on the Altenew channel every second and fourth Sunday of the month. Please make sure you like and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for tuning in to this Perfect Pairing episode with me, and I'll see you in the next one.
Hello there! Did that video just spark your creativity? And do you want more project ideas and inspiration videos too? Well, if you do, please make sure that you subscribe to the Altenew YouTube channel. Also, make sure that you do click that notification bell so you don't miss a video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye bye!